Welcome into the live stream here from McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neal. That's Tyler.
What it is, sir?
How are you?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm good. It's Thursday, August the 21st.
All day long.
A couple of days away from the Week 0 games that I know many of you are making appointment viewing.
I got bad news last night.
What's that?
My 9-year-old has we got I guess I don't even know what age group we're in now. He is 9. Got a baseball tournament this weekend.
Oh.
Games at 10 and 12. So I'd like to apologize. I'm really not that bad of a parent. I'm really not.
Could you write some previews of that, maybe position by position? Because, I mean,
I can do some depth charts.
I would really maybe an overall team preview, and then what I'd like is a position by position. Start with catcher, like break down the catcher position.
Yep. Can he hear me when it goes in the green room?
I'm not sure whether he'll be able to hear or not. So you might want to text him and tell him you got to get through. I told
him to assume he was live. You're not live yet, Tony. If you can hear me, you're not live yet.
Okay.
All right. Well, he can hear me. Good.
All right. Tony Mandarich, the second pick in the 1989 NFL draft. The fact that I can remember that as vividly as I can tells you that I'm getting really damned old. I'm sure Tony feels the same way. We'll get Tony on in a minute, tell his story. We'll preview some Week 0 games. Do a number of things here on.
I'm excited
on the big show here on this Thursday afternoon. Thanks to everybody for being with us in the stream. Don't forget, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. If you're, I guess if you're watching this, you're not listening. But if you hit the like button, hit the follow button if you're not subscribed to us, and we'd appreciate that.
All the good stuff.
We'll get rolling here in a moment. Welcome into episode 301 of McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neal McCready. That is Tyler Siskey here on this Thursday afternoon, August the 21st. Former NFL offensive lineman Tony Mandarich, the second pick in the 1989 NFL draft, is going to join us momentarily. He's already with us in the green room right now, probably snacking on the M&Ms and all the Skittles and all the things that we've got in there.
He's drinking all of his Rain, getting juiced up. He's ready to go. He's gonna buy a Kia. He's gonna get Prime. Yeah. He's gonna get it all. He's gonna get him an RV from Rob. He's just gonna get it all right here in the green room.
Getting ready to get all of that stuff. Those are our gifts that we give to all of our guests. They take home. If they can get that Kia, hook it up to their motorhome, and off they go.
Off they go
with their Prime. Get settled up. If he needs any testosterone, he can find out all of those things, and then all the Rain that he could possibly want. Because this show is brought to you by our friends at Rain Total Body Fuel. 300 milligrams natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, zero sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits and achieve your goals. Check them out on Instagram at Rain Body Fuel to learn more.
Neal, since we got Tony today, I went with the strawberry apricot today. But the Cooper Chevrolet chat is already bumping, and it's going to be bumping through the entire rest of the month. You can get up to $14,500 off the brand new Chevy Silverado pickup when you take advantage of the trade and down payment assistance. That's over 19% below MSRP. Just announced at Cooper Hyundai, they have the Santa Fe and the Santa Fe Hybrid for up to 0.0. That's right, 0 APR for 60 months and no payments for 90 days. So check them out at Cooper Chevrolet at area code 256-236-4481. We're also brought to you by the official. Tony, you're just going to sit through this for just a second. You're going to like this. The official RV dealer of McCready and Siskey, County Line Campers. It's right there off I-10, exit 38 in Gulfport, Mississippi. Right now, County Line Campers is unlocking the lot for a huge RV open house for next Friday, and next Saturday, August 29th and 30th from 9 to 6. Every camper on the lot will be open all day for you to explore. Starting your morning with free donuts and coffee, and stick around for free lunch in the afternoon. Plus, don't miss our how-to classes where you can learn hitch work from 10 to 1 and RV seal maintenance at 12 to 3. And here's the best part. Check this out, Neal. You're going to like this. If you have a trade and you mention the Pete Sanchez show, Rob's crazy.
God.
If you mention the Pete Sanchez show, I'm sure you can mention McCready and Siskey too. He'll give you an extra $1,000. An extra $1,000 on your trade appraisal. How about that? So check them out at countylinecampers.com. and see their selection, and follow us on all the social media platforms for all the deals. That's County Line Campers, exit 38 in I-10 Gulfport, Mississippi. How about that?
It's incredible.
All right, I got one more.
All right.
I'm sorry. One more. I apologize, Tony. you're just going to sit through it just for a second. We are also sponsored to you by Get Prime. That's GETPRYM.com. It's modern at-home lab testing that puts you in control.
Some people say it's your health in prime form.
Oh, look at this guy right here. Look at this guy right here.
Yep.
You can collect your sample for a few minutes and get clear, personalized results right to your private dashboard. No needles, no waiting rooms, no hassle. Whether you're rechecking your hormones, energy levels, metabolism, or overall wellness, Prime makes it fast, easy, and actionable. You can go to Get Prime, that's GETPRYM, and enter the promo code MPW. Tony, when you enter that promo code of MPW, it's going to get you 20% off. What are we doing? Let's go. 20% off. It'll get you right there. You send it back to them. Better results for better people.
You know what else you get?
What else?
You get a free national championship from Auburn. They'll throw one in. You get a national championship. You get a national championship. Tony gets a national championship.
Everybody
I get a Pulitzer.
Oh, yeah,
I have claimed a Pulitzer. I claimed
year?
Whatever. Yeah, I've claimed at least one Pulitzer. Pete Deweese and I have our show, Pete's Pigskin Preview. We have claimed a Peabody. We just decided to claim it. That's the way this works.
More than fair. All right, officially now, bringing in our special guest today. He's going like, what the hell have I got myself into? Bringing in my special guest today, Tony Mandarich. Tony, so giving everybody a little background, Neal's already given you the other introduction. I'm sure you heard a second ago, but Tony, randomly, I don't even know if I've told him this. I'll do the TikTok lives, and we have a ton of people in there, and people all the time will impersonate somebody's name. And so I see somebody comment, and it says Tony Mandarich, and so I immediately know who that is in my head, and so I'm like, okay, that would just not people impersonate Hugh Freeze and Lane Kiffin and all stuff. Sure. And so I hit the button, and I see that has a lot of followers. Okay, on TikTok. So first of all, we're going to do this many times through the show. Make sure if you're on TikTok, go follow Tony Mandarich on TikTok at Tony Mandarich. He does a live show in the evenings. I start watching his show. I ask questions, and and I talked to him on the phone. I listened to his story. I told him this privately. I don't mind telling everybody. His story helped me with my personal and my family deal with my brother and the situation that went on this past spring. So, Tony, I'm so excited to have you on here, man. Thank you for joining us.
Oh man, I tell you what, I've been looking forward to this since you guys asked me. It's good to be on a podcast where people that know football, like when I started watching Tyler on his TikTok lives, I would watch from the lobby. I would not enter his live, right? Because I was just like, who is this guy? Just another guy, right? But then I'm like, he started dropping information that was like your average guy would just not know unless they played or unless they were coaching. So I kept watching, and I was like, geez, this guy's like really good. So then I do a Google search on him, and I'm like, this guy, was in Alabama with Nick, and Nick had recruited me. So I was like, there's a connection there. And then the questions that were in his live, the guys were asking were like, some of them, most of them are pretty good questions. There's some nonsense, obviously. There's always going to be some nonsense.
Yes.
But 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 I love the way you handle it.
Yeah.
We just got to.
Neal gets to see the. I turn in sometimes to a WWE wrestling character on there. Sometimes I have a little fun. I enjoy. Neal knows this about me. I enjoy trolling back the trolls. That has been one of the best things about getting out of coaching. Somebody asked me, like, what's the best thing about being out of coaching? I said, well, after being a dad and being able to be around your kids, the next thing is definitely being able to give shit back to people who have been giving you shit for all these years. That's a lot of fun. All right, I want to get into it because I want to save some. I want to save plenty of time for you to tell your story because I think it's very powerful. I think it'll help a lot of people. But I was trying to think about how we're going to start this today and all that stuff. And you go back. I told Neal before we started the show, I was like, I got into a Tony rabbit hole that lasted like 8 hours. I've watched several interviews. I've read 8 gazillion articles. Some of your book, I got some excerpts of that. Was able to read. I've gone down the rabbit hole. So I wanted to start here because I heard you mention this on your live, and I think it's one of the funniest things I've heard in a long time. And you were born and raised in Oakville, okay, and right outside of, in Ontario, Canada, right outside Toronto. And I heard
Yep.
you telling me this on the live the other day, and I caught it, and I just started dying laughing. Can you mention and explain how, like, when you grew up, how the phone lines were different, the landlines were different, and how the ringtones? Because I think we have audience that has no idea about landlines, and I was crying the other night listening to you tell that.
So we had, and I'm sure in certain areas of the U.S. this is still going on. Definitely in Canada, but when you go super rural, super country areas, and Oakville, where I actually spent most of my years growing up, was more of a city. Milton, the town that was about 30 miles north of Oakville, was all farms. So it was 6 years on the farm. So we used to have, like, down a 5-mile stretch, you'd have 3 farms. We were one of them. And so you would have to share the phone line, which people just can't wrap their heads around. So our house was, I think it was a double ring, like a ring, and then you knew, okay, let's pick up the phone. Somebody's calling us. The other 2 houses, one was just a solid ring, and then the middle house was a solid ring and a half ring. So if you're at your own house and you hear like a 1 ring, and then a pause and another ring and a pause, that's the first house. Don't answer the phone because that's not for you. So they would call it a party line, right? Shared by multiple parties.
Yeah.
So, people would, I mean, of course, as a kid, I'm like, I don't care who's calling. I'm hoping it's not my house because I'm picking that thing up and listening, right? Listening to the neighbors talking. And it was, I mean, that's just stuff that you don't, a lot of people will not know. Just like we talked about, Tyler, when you talked about Blockbuster Video, and that was only 20 years ago, so
you go to Blockbuster. Neal, like things you miss that this generation would have no idea. I told Tony mine was probably Blockbuster Video. Like I used to like go into Blockbuster and spending an hour.
I worked at a video store.
Did you really?
I was a kid. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you would spend an hour looking for a video that was only 90 minutes long.
Those people that would come in and not rewind their video, I had to, it was the worst. I had to go rewind them.
Yeah.
So
be kind, rewind.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
When you were a big time recruit, did the party line? By that point, had y'all gotten your own line?
Yeah. Yeah, we were. I was.
That
yeah,
would have
yeah.
been a problem, Tony.
It'd be funny to watch Nick Saban going. Was it 1 ring or was it 2 rings?
So how many do people call like all times of the night? That was the other question I didn't get to ask you today. Is like, does the phone just ring all day, or is this like how many times at the middle of the night would the phone ring and you're just pissed?
Well, yeah. I mean, you only had 1 phone, and it was almost always in the kitchen, right? Yeah. So far removed from the bedrooms, so it's like you wouldn't have those problems. I mean, you could hear the phone in the background, and if it was like, all right, if it's not too long rings, I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I could see people like it's bad enough. Like I remember when we had the landline when I was growing up. It was like the rule around where I grew up is nobody calls after 9 o'clock unless it's an emergency, right? I said, but like, I mean, I know that's crazy to people these days, but I can only imagine like now it's not even your household you got to be concerned about. It's 2 other ones, right? So there you go.
Right.
All right, so this was something I was actually unaware of this until I did my research. I'm sure you've talked about it 800 times. So you started playing football, and your brother had gotten a scholarship to go to Kent State, and he comes to your parents going into your senior year and convinces your parents to allow you to move from Canada to Kent to play high school football as a senior. Like, how does that conversation go with the parents? Like, the older brother comes and say, hey, you need to let him move to a different country, essentially. I know it's America, but you're moving to a different country to play football. Like, how did that go? How did that conversation go?
And here's the funny thing. That was Christmas dinner. Like, that was Christmas dinner of 1982 going into 83. And that was pretty wild because my brother John had, obviously covered all this with me because we got to be on the same page, right? It's like, I gotta want to go, right? And I'm just like, get me out of here. I mean, I want to go down to the US. I want to go to the best place in the world. I want to, that's the place to go if you want to make it big in a lot of things, especially football. And after 3 years of playing in Canada, I played well, but there's just no exposure. And like our stands were a set of bleachers. And those bleachers held probably 50 people. And that was our stadium. there was no stadium. So when we have the conversation at dinner and my parents are kind of like, oh, I don't know about this, this is my mom's like, my little Tony and all this and all that. And I'm like, Mom, I really want to go. I really want to go. And, I'll never know. I'll always ask myself, what if I would have went to the US for that senior year of high school? Would I have made it? Right. And I think my mom didn't want me to live with that, like the what if.
Yeah.
So both mom and dad were supportive. And so I finished my junior year in Canada. And then that next summer, went down to Ohio. Now, more logistics than that. My brother had to go to court to get guardianship.
Yeah.
And my parents had to relinquish it. Right. And we had to talk to Coach John Nemec at Kent Roosevelt High School, who's a phenomenal coach, phenomenal guy, to see if they were okay with this, because, I'm basically taking a spot of an American kid on their high school team.
Yeah.
And they were welcoming, and, their stadium held like 8,000 to 10,000. I mean, it was awesome and it's such a great experience. And then, wanted to get exposure. We had 5 players on our team that were like 5-star football recruits. So that brought in a lot of the scouts, and then, which we were hoping would happen. And then you get that kind of exposure, and then they're like, who's this other guy? So.
All right. I'm going to get to him in just a second. Okay. But you kind of mentioned it earlier. Nick Saban recruited you to Michigan State. He was your recruiting coach. Do you remember, all right, obviously, when Michigan State offers, were they the first, or do you remember, was there another team that came in first to offer you and recruit you?
Actually, believe it or not, Maryland offered me first.
Let's go, Turk.
Maryland. Yeah, right. Maryland offered me, Maryland was sending me letters, recruiting letters, and I hadn't even played a down of football in the U.S. yet. And I was thinking, well, how in the world, how are they recruiting me? I know we don't have Canadian film because we just didn't film our games. Regardless, I started getting tons of letters, and they were going to send a scout and everything, but I never talked to a scout from Maryland. And but when I started getting recruited by Nick, or by Michigan State and Michigan, and I think USC was recruiting. Obviously, Kent State was recruiting. That first meeting with Nick was interesting, though.
In what way? In what way?
Well, so. He can be dry, right? And the more you know him, he's not like that all the time, but he is like type A. He talks with purpose. He says every word has a meaning behind it, and it's like he doesn't waste time. So think about this: you got Nick Saban talking to me, a high school senior, and he's talking to me like this, right? And he's cool. It's all good, right? And we're in the cafeteria, and there's nobody in the cafeteria at Kent Roosevelt when he's talking to me for the first time, and he's, obviously you talk about the things that are in common. He played at Kent State. My brother played at Kent State. He knew John Nemec, our head coach at that high school, for a long time. And he's Croatian. I'm Croatian. My parents are Croatian. So you bring all those things in, and it piques a little bit more interest, makes things a little bit more, of things that you have in common. But I just remember, I was like, man, does that guy ever loosen up? Right. And of course, that was my first impression, but, obviously as time goes on, you get to see everything evolve, and you're like, man, we were coached by some of the greatest coaches ever to be around, Nick and other coaches at Michigan State. I mean, it was incredible.
All right, so I heard several the other day. All right, so you had several the other day. What is your favorite? And of course, nobody in the show heard it. But what's your favorite Nick Saban story of him being an assistant coach while you were at Michigan State?
Well, I don't know if you saw the Iowa game story that I posted about.
I did.
So that's probably one of my favorite, right? Because it's I actually got to watch that in real time, in person, right there. And I'm thinking, if the guy just listens to Coach Saban, we win the game. We knock off number 1 Iowa.
So what happened?
And so we're playing number 1 Iowa. We're, I think, maybe ranked in the top 25. And it's the opening for the Big Ten. We're at Iowa City, and they're loud there. And they're number 1 in the country. Chuck Long's the quarterback. Ronnie Harmon's the tailback. And it's a back and forth game. We're leading 31-28. And there's 29 seconds left on the clock. They're at our 4-yard line. and they don't want to kick a field goal. They don't want to tie it as the number one team because they're probably going to lose rank. And so we call a timeout, and Nick calls the whole defense over to the sideline. Now, granted, at this point, remember, he's still just a DB coach, but he had that authority about him. And he's grabbing people and talking. And as an offensive lineman, I'm like listening in during the TV timeout, and I'm just listening in to what he's saying to them because I'm thinking, are we going to blitz? Are we sending the house? What are we going to do? He just says, everybody play your positions. He grabs his one guy who's a corner, and he says, he goes, listen, you have one responsibility. He goes, one responsibility. Number 16, Chuck Long, is your responsibility, and contain. He goes, I don't care if he scores inside of you. He goes, that's fine. He goes, but do not lose contain, because they like to run the boot naked, or the naked boot on this in this kind of a situation. So I'm sitting there going, that makes sense. And obviously, coach has done his job studying this film. So, and this kid was a hitter. Now, this kid could light some people up. And they go on the snap of the ball, and I'm sitting there watching, right? And I got like one eye on Chuck Long, and I got my other eye on the corner, right? And I don't know why I'm watching the corner. And I watched Chuck Long fake it to Ronnie Harmon, and Ronnie Harmon does this awesome jump over the pile, but he doesn't have the ball, right? Chuck Long puts it on his leg and kind of does the naked boot, just like Coach Saban said he would. This DB, like a torpedo, goes for Ronnie Harmon.
My God.
And then pulls up and like looks back and then starts running towards Chuck Long. Well, he caught up to him 5 yards into the end zone. And I thought to myself, what kind of toolbox do you have in your head? Because how do you miss that? Like, if you're told that's my only responsibility, this guy, Chuck Long, is your responsibility, and whatever you do, do not lose contain, because, and I'm giving you a reason, because they like to run the naked boot in a situation like this. That's exactly what they ran. Nick obviously did his studying of film, and Nick was so mad. Nick was so mad he didn't even throw his like clipboard on the ground. He just dropped it. He just dropped it like I don't know what else to do. And I kind of looked at him, and he didn't look at me, so I was kind of glad about that. And because I was ready to turn away if he looked at me, because it was just incredible to me. I could see how frustrating that would be as a coach.
Yeah, he's I never, when you brought it up, I was like, I'd never heard that story when you had said that, and I bet you that's one right there. He remembers that to this day.
Oh, I bet. I'll bet you he does.
All right. So moving along here, all right. So coming out of college, this is some stuff it's just amazing. Coming out of college, you were considered the best offensive lineman prospect in the history of football. You were the second overall pick behind Troy Aikman and ahead of Barry Sanders, Derek Thomas, and Deion Sanders. Pretty good draft class.
Yeah, they did okay.
They did okay.
They did all right.
All right. So when you hear that out loud today, which I'm sure you've been told 800 gazillion, you've heard that out loud 1,000 times, right, or more than that, probably a million times. When you hear that today, like what goes through your head? What do you think when you hear that? Besides, shit, that was a great draft class. Like what's
right? Yeah.
What is that to you when you hear that out loud and people say that at your age? What goes through your mind?
I feel honored that I'm surrounded by names like that in that draft. It didn't work out for me. Obviously, it didn't work out for me. But to be in those five is when I take a step back and I'm like, that kid from Canada who had that dream at 11 years old to make it to the NFL ends up being the second pick in the draft. So to me, there's a lot of success there. There's some failure that happens, obviously, in Green Bay, some epic failure. And then there's, time away from the game for 3 full seasons and then some redemption coming back to Indy. But I look at it as like I'm honored to be around those names. Listen, Barry Sanders is one of my favorite football players. And I've talked to him maybe 3 times in my whole life. But he, as when we were playing in Detroit, we'd play Detroit twice a year, being in the same division. We play in Detroit because he was much better on turf than grass. As an offensive line, we would get when we'd come in from our series, we'd get the fax machine screenshots from upstairs. We'd look at the defenses that we have to correct and all this. Is Detroit throwing anything at us that is surprising? And then when we were done, we would go stand up by the sideline to watch Barry. And most offensive linemen aren't like that. Most offensive linemen just want to stay on the bench, stay off your feet, hydrate, be ready for the next series. We would watch Barry Sanders because he was that good.
I think he's the best to ever do it, period, at that position.
So when I think about you at that age, I think about obviously all of the talk about maybe this is the greatest offensive lineman ever. The Sports Illustrated, I guess it was SI cover, flexing the muscles and all that stuff. And obviously there were people who speculated, and you almost have to live. I mean, I think I'm probably a couple years younger than you. You almost had to live in that era to understand how prevalent steroids were in the 80s. How much temptation there was to take steroids in the 80s, and how much lack of education there was about what steroids might do or not do to your body in that time. I mean, I remember vividly there were guys on my high school team that were using steroids, and you saw the results. And you were like, damn, those guys look great. You didn't know what, all that stuff. For you, when was the first time you were sort of introduced to them? What did they do for you? How much did you kind of get hooked on them? How much was that in the back of your mind kind of throughout your career?
So I got I got introduced to them in the last month I was in high school. It was like May after, by graduation. I'd already accepted my scholarship to state, and I could not bench over 315 pounds. Like I had a mental block because that's 3 plates on each side. I could do 295 for 5, but I couldn't do 315 for 1. So my brother had said, why don't you try this little cycle of steroids? Very safe. One steroid, we'll try it. And like 2 weeks later, I was doing like 315 for 2 or 3 reps. And I was like, whoa, like this actually works, right? So, and then my brother and I were under the impression, he's 5 years older. We were under the impression that to really make it into the big leagues, if you're a lineman, you pretty much got to do it. And I think that impression came from the Steeler offensive line, and the Steelers of the mid to late 70s. So that was our thought process. Like we were like, everybody in the big leagues is doing it. Well, we don't have any knowledge of that actually. And no, that's actually not true. Once you get to the big leagues, you find out it's not true. But I ended up using it in college over the next 5 years because I was a redshirt. And the interesting thing is this: I used it doesn't matter how much I used, but I used a lot less than people think I used because of the size and everything. They thought, well, to be that freaky big, you have to use a lot. Well, not necessarily true. There are theories and things behind the chemistry of everything that less, in some cases, less is more, coupled with just unbelievably hard workouts that you put yourself through and a dedication that you want to do. You need all those things to achieve the goal that you're trying to achieve. Is it right to do that? No, it's not, because the rules say don't do it. I knew the rules and I still did it. So I broke the rules. I was wrong. I don't encourage anybody to use them. But that was like the thought process. And I'd say, 40% of the Big Ten was on them. It was such a part of culture in sport and in wrestling.
It was very prevalent. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So in the off season, we would talk to other teams in the Big Ten, like not officially, obviously, but like we would meet up with guys from Ann Arbor. And what are you taking? How's it working for you? Have you tried this? How's it working for you? So it was like behind the scenes, it was almost another whole subculture of sharing information with each other. And yeah, it was. It's a hard thing to understand unless you lived through it. Not just as a football player, but just as that part of the 80s and 90s, because it was prevalent in baseball in the 90s,
Yeah.
So.
In some ways, it saved the sport. As crazy as it is, they were the strike, and you had the Bonds. I guess Barry, but
Sosa, McGuire.
Before that, you had Sammy Sosa, Mark McGuire, and that whole race. And you look around at, I mean, the best example I ever use is like Brady Anderson hit 50 home runs one year, and you're like, wow, what the, and you could see how, but you could see how people were tempted, and at the time there wasn't.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was always a debate, right, about what this is doing to your body, what it's doing to your bone structure and all that stuff. I can remember like there was this rumor, and you could tell it was an issue for me. One of the things that probably it would make your hair fall out.
Well, I don't think I didn't have any side effects from it.
So it was such a prevalent part of the culture at that point. It was So
well, and it's interesting. It's very interesting because of things that happen throughout your life, right? Like I end up getting my really dark problem ends up being alcohol and pharmaceutical painkillers. Like that's what almost takes me off the planet. And then as decades go by and you're removed from the sport and you're just kind of like living your life, right? Then things like 2020 happen, right? And it makes you go, whoa, like what is going on here, right? They want me to do this, but to do steroids is bad, right? And don't question me about you doing this, right? So instead, I mean, even today I will wear a mask, right? Just to make sure that we're all good, because now there's a virus coming through the internet. And I hope you guys are practicing the safe principles that I am.
I try to double mask as often as I possibly can because it's very important. I went for a walk this afternoon and listen, I only wore 2 masks. And
I thought you forgot. That was a setup deal. I thought he forgot.
There was 2 Labrador retrievers walking around, and I'm concerned that I gave them COVID because I heard there's another variant going around right now, and I'm very concerned.
Yeah. Hey,
I just want Tyler to know that I had to drive to Walgreens and buy a 25-pack for one mask.
Shoot, that'll get you through the week, Tony. I mean, you never know when another variant's coming.
But I know we're 6 feet apart, so we're good.
Yes.
Oh, Tony, I thought you'd forgot because I told Tony, I was like, hey, look, if you ever want to get Neal stirred up, I said,
talk about 2020.
Because we're actually going to talk about it in a minute.
Yeah,
like real talk.
Yeah,
it's part of it comes together in a minute. And so I said, if you ever want to get Neal stirred up, just go on that. I said, you know what would be great? I was like, just come on. I thought he was going to do it when he came on the show. I thought he was going to be wearing a mask.
I almost did.
Just to see. Funny. I was just going to look for the reaction on your face.
I've done some homework, and I know that Tony and I are aligned on many thoughts. So I knew immediately that I was being gagged.
Hey, don't worry, Uncle TikTok. I purposely, just so you know too, is like Neal and I kind of stopped streaming the thing on TikTok Live just to keep Uncle TikTok boots us about once a week on that. So we're safe, by the way, from Uncle TikTok.
Yeah, I hear you.
So I know you've talked about it many times. So I don't feel uncomfortable asking you. The addiction to, I guess, the painkillers, the alcohol, was that to work your way through football injuries, or was that what was that? How did that happen? Because that obviously happens to a lot of people, and you got to the other side of it. A lot of times people don't, and you're courageous enough and I think bold enough to talk about it, because obviously when you talk about it, every time you talk about it, you might be saving somebody's life.
Yeah, and I think it's important to talk about. A lot of people won't talk about it because they just want to keep personal business, or private life. And I talk about it. I talk about it in general. I will talk about my own story in specifics, but when I essentially know 2 kinds of people when they take painkillers. They either are like, I really dislike them. They make me groggy. They make me sleepy, and I just want to crash out. Or you get someone like myself, where I get like, I almost get energy, and I get like a euphoric feeling. So, and started to take them initially for the right reason: lower back, knees, elbow, shoulder, whatever the case may be. But then I thought to myself, then when that ailment heals up, it's like, well, I still have extras of the pills. So maybe I'll take one just to see how it goes. And then it's like, oh, I like the way I feel better taking the pill than I do actually in real life, just with nothing wrong.
Yeah.
And that's where that cycle starts. And there's a tolerance. You build up a tolerance to the medication. And I mean, it starts out initially very, very innocent, 1-2 pills a day. And then 4 or 5 years later, I was up to 60, 70, 80 a day. Yeah. So it's,
But
it's not.
People talk about it. It's not like you didn't one day go, you know what? I think I'll take 60.
No.
It's not like, right.
No.
It's the slippery slope of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've talked about it at some point in time on the show. I don't remember, but when I've had a few surgeries, but when where they get you, and that's for me from coaching and playing and all that stuff, where from teammates and everything else is, hey, you go in, you have a minor procedure or whatever it is, right? And you get that, just like you're talking about, you get that script. And then like, as an adult, all right, I had rotator cuff, I tore my labrum, I had this big shoulder surgery, and it was the last one I had. And I've told Neal, I don't remember if I told this on the show or privately, I don't mind saying it, but when I had my surgery on a Thursday, the day after signing day, because I couldn't have it during recruiting. So I had my surgery on the day after signing day, and they give you, they prescribe whatever it was either Oxycontin or something, right?
Yeah.
And they say, take one for pain every 4 hours, okay? And you hit that first one, and sure enough, 4 hours later, you start hurting again, and so you take another one, right? Just like it says in the prescription, and then 4 hours turns into 3 hours and 45 minutes the next time. And then it turns to 3:30. And I had this surgery on Thursday. By Saturday, I was starting to hurt every 30 to 45 minutes. And so I said, I get scared. I was an adult. I had kids and a profession and everything else. I get worried that, like, hey, I know what's happening here.
Yeah.
And I remember I told my wife, I said, my wife's a nurse. I said, flush that shit down the toilet. I said, I need the lightest pain medicine they make. I said, that's it. And that was on Saturday. So literally Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That when I stopped, and this is just 3 days, when I stopped taking them, I got so sick. I'm talking about the worst it was withdrawal. And I could have drank 4 gallons of vodka and not been that sick. I mean, I'm talking about as sick as I've ever been. I thought I was dying. And so me going through that makes me understand when somebody that's doing it for longer, why it's so hard to get off those things. And that's why it gets to, like you said, 60 a day or whatever it is.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. And the detox is, I don't wish detox on anybody. That has got to be one of the most horrible feelings to go through once you stop. Like, I knew my detox very well. I knew once I took my last dose, I knew I didn't have any more and I couldn't get any more for a while. I knew within 24 hours, I'd start with the sweats. I'd start having to go to the bathroom. I knew sleep was out for 72 hours. Like, I was just not going to be able to sleep. And that would last up to 10 days. And then knowing about the 11th day, I'll get a little bit of relief. But hopefully before the 11th day, I've got another prescription to fill, so the whole cycle starts again. So it's a tough way to live.
All right. You were at Green Bay. Obviously the 1991, so you played a little bit in 89, then 1991, you were out for 3 years, went to rehab in that stint. And, talking about substance abuse, when did you yourself come to realization that, hey, I have a problem and I need to get straight?
So, I knew I had a problem halfway through my rookie season at Green Bay, but obviously didn't do anything about it until, March 23rd of 1995, when I put myself into treatment. And the reason I put myself into treatment, had been out of the league already 3 years. And a buddy of mine had talked to me, knowing that I was addicted, and said, look, if you don't stop what you're doing, he's like, you're going to die. And many people had said that to me before, but for some reason at that time it had clicked. Plus he had said to me, he said, you're sitting here on this couch. He goes, you've been out of the league for 3 years. And I challenged him right away. I said, I've been out of the league like 10, 11 months, not 3 years. And he's like, no, you've been out of the league 3 years. And I went to the calendar on the wall, which we don't really have anymore, calendars on a wall. And I looked at the year and the date, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've been out of the league 3 years.
No way.
Yeah, it was like it was one of those like, no way, like this is actually true. I have been out 3 years. And so that got me thinking, and I was reaching a point where I was so sick and tired of my own BS, all the lies, all the manipulation, all the cover up, all this, all that. It was Green Bay's fault. It was mom and dad's fault. It's my wife's fault. It's my kids' fault. It's the media's fault. It's the coach's fault. It was always everybody's fault but mine. And finally, I think all that stuff stacked up so much that I was like, you know what? You're the common denominator in all this BS. So maybe it's you, and that was like standing in front of a mirror and saying, like asking myself those questions. And I was like, no, maybe other people played a little part in it or part of it, but it doesn't matter what part they played. What matters is what part did I play? And what do I need to do to change this? So that's when I became willing to go to treatment. And 4 days later, there was a bed available in Detroit, and went into treatment for 17 days and been laughing ever since.
Been clean ever since, huh?
Mm-hmm. And been laughing ever since too.
That's all right. So the one thing that I think that one big question I want to ask you is, because it was a goal of yours to play football, professional football, starting at 11 years old. You're the number 2 pick. You go to Green Bay, that doesn't go as well as you want to, obviously. You go through this, you go through rehab, and you get your second shot with the Colts, and you played well. I mean, you did really well. I didn't know this till the other day. It didn't click with me that you were actually there when Peyton Manning's his rookie year. But do you feel like that second stint at Indy kind of gave you a peace with football, if that makes sense? Like it gave that being able to come back clean, healthy of mind, gave you a peace with your football career?
It did. I think it was such a crucial part of the story. It's probably one of the most crucial parts of the whole story, because I could prove to myself that I could do this without steroids, without painkillers, without all these other chemicals that I was putting in my body over the years. The last time I had played a game without any drugs in my system, I was a high school senior.
Wow.
Which is pretty amazing if you think about it, like there's that much span, right?
Yeah.
And it was crucial because I could play. Look, I was not an all pro by any means, but I was definitely a starter, and I got to play. And it was a lot of, for me, it was a lot of redemption. It was, for like me personally, it was a lot of, you know what, if you do the right things, and if you do and follow and have faith, things will happen. You will still be guaranteed adversity, but you will be given the tools and bravery and courage on how to handle those adversities. Because if you're a believer, it doesn't mean you don't have adversities. You actually probably have more. You just have better tools to deal with them.
Not that you would have cared about what people said or how you got labeled and all that kind of stuff, but that's kind of, people would do before that, the biggest bust in NFL history and stuff like that, which I'm sure is not a label that anybody wants to carry around.
No.
The time with the Colts, did that? I know it's still some people put you on those lists and that kind of thing. But like Tyler was asking, that probably in your mind goes, well, yeah, but that's a little more complicated than you think. And I showed that I showed not only you, but more importantly myself, that I could play. Yeah,
and like I said, it was crucial. And if the story ends with the football career in Green Bay, you know what? There's an argument for the biggest bust ever, I think. I mean, look, Jamarcus Russell.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, I'm not going to point at anybody, but there's a lot of guys in the top 5 picks that were supposed to be all everything, including myself. I think mine came out bigger or hung around longer because of the Hall of Famers drafted around me.
Yeah.
So that probably helped. Plus, mine was a big marketing machine with Sports Illustrated and all that. That didn't hurt. Being on Letterman, doing all that stuff, being a loudmouth, doing all that stuff helped. with the marketing. So people kind of almost looked at you as they either loved you or you were kind of like a villain. So going back to play in Indy was more for me than it was for the fans, but it was also to let people know eventually the story would come out. Why did you fail in Green Bay? And, even today, 2025, most of the fans think that it was because of steroids. It has nothing to do with steroids. It had all to do with the alcohol and the painkillers, and I share that story. I don't go around trying to, say, hey, did you know this? It's like, if it comes up in conversation, we talk about it, but it's amazing to me that people still think it was the steroids, just like because I never took steroids in pro football.
So when you say the painkillers and the alcohol, just probably an inability to totally lock in, be focused, play clean, play with a clear head, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's an understatement. Yeah. You become, I mean, opiate is a downer, right? It's not an upper. Barbiturates are uppers. But you take an opiate, you become sloth-like. You take enough of them and you go to sleep. Well, I was sloth-like 24/7. So go to Veterans Stadium, line up against Reggie and be a sloth also. And it's like, look, I could have been at my best, and I think Reggie would have had his way. But being that sloth-like demeanor, and it takes a lot of aggressiveness away from you. Just that natural aggressiveness. So it's a combination for failure, not just in football, but in life. It's a combination for failure in life. And then eventually, unfortunately, death.
One thing I wanted to talk about, because I know thank you so much for your time. One thing I want to talk about that another thing that just kind of hit home with me is kind of your march towards faith. And, I listened to, I don't know what interview it was, so forgive me. I watched a gazillion of them in the last couple of days, but you mentioned that you grew up in the church. You never was mad at God, those kind of things, but kind of your march towards faith and kind of what set you to the path that you're on today with your faith. And I think it's just a wonderful story. Just me personally, before you get into it, I think it's, Neal and I were talking about this off camera. I don't mind telling it. It's just me and Neal, but, I think one thing that people, when it comes to faith, I think a lot of people struggle thinking they have to be perfect all the time. And you just listen, you talk about it, really hit home with me. So just going to tee you up for that. Kind of what do you think as far as, talk about your march towards faith?
Yeah. I've always been a believer. I was an altar boy for 10 years and all this back in Canada and had like some knowledge, right? I understood the Trinity. I understood things of the Bible, but I never really got my nose in the Bible. I always relied on being told on Sundays what it was all about. And I knew from the Catholic perspective, I knew about salvation had to do with a lot of works. You do these things, you pray these things, you're going to be saved. Well, come to find out that's bullshit. Excuse my French. Because once I started studying the Gospels in 2020 and continue to study them and still have a way more to learn than I've learned and been exposed to, and have been lucky that I've been surrounded by certain theologians and certain pastors that are about the gospel. They're not about, promoting something else. And the common phrase that kept coming up a couple of years ago that I would say to these guys is, why didn't anybody tell me this? And they would be like, well, and I would specifically be like, because of my experience, why didn't I learn this in Catholicism? And they're like, well, that's for you to determine why. Maybe they don't like to preach the truth, all of the truth, right? So it kind of really made me take a step back, like, wow, now, they're kind of criticizing Catholicism. I've been a Catholic for 53 years. So I was kind of like, okay, I'm just going to have some discernment, step back and just kind of reevaluate, keep studying. And the more and more I read, the more and more I realized they were telling me the truth, because they would always say, when I would have a question for them, they'd say, well, let's see what the Gospels say about that. Let's see what the book says about that. And there was so much truth in there that I had never heard before, that it started to put things all together for me. And the biggest thing that made me start studying them, which was the first time I ever studied them, was 2020. The world was sideways. They were telling you left was right. They were telling you up was down. They were telling you a dealership behind them that was on fire in Minneapolis was a peaceful protest. They were telling you stuff that was like
kind of fiery. Mostly.
Yeah, right. It was a little smoky. It was lingering smoke.
A little murdery, but
right. And I was like, okay, and you'll be, you'll relate to this, and I'll take it back. We're playing the Jets, Peyton's rookie year. We get hammered 31-0. We go back to Indianapolis, and that next Wednesday practice, all we're doing is blocking and tackling fundamentals, because we just got our butts kicked in New York, and when our defense kept missing tackles, our offensive people kept missing blocks, missed assignments, missed blocks, bad techniques. So we go back to fundamentals. It was always go back to fundamentals. And I even learned that in college. So I kind of always treated it that way. Well, in 2020, when the world's going sideways, I can't block and tackle because that doesn't apply anymore, right? But the fundamental of it apply. What is the fundamental truth is what I asked myself. And I said, well, the fundamental, most absolute truth is the gospel. That's where all truth comes from. That is actually the truth. That's what it's all derived from, our laws, everything. And so 2020 now, the way I look at 2020 is I am so thankful that happened. I'm so thankful there were peaceful protests. Wink, wink, right? I'm so thankful people were getting canceled, because I was like, this is just wrong. Like, this is just wrong that you can run somebody out of their job or whatever because of the way they see the world. And then, you hire agencies saying you have to do this and you have to put this in your body and all this. Can you imagine if I would have went around in 1980s and said, you have to do steroids? I mean,
Yeah.
or if the government told us that, right? You have to do steroids. It's like, well, shouldn't everybody just have a choice whether they want to do them or not?
Yeah.
So it was just not, something was wrong. And for the first time, I started to see more evil than just opinions. I started to see more evil versus good, or good versus evil in the world. Then I saw, hey, different opinions, have some flexibility, be neutral, this and that, like it's been most of my life, where now it was, no, you have to think this way or else you're going to get punished for it. And when I started to see stuff like that, it reminded me of stories my mom and dad would tell me when they escaped Yugoslavia and they escaped communism. They said you could not say what faith you were out in public. You couldn't talk bad about the government because you would get locked up. All these things. And I started to see that more and more. And I was like, and they're telling you it's right, but it's wrong, right? And the Gospels talk about that. As we get towards the end of end times, it starts to talk about people pushing false for truth and truth for false, right? And mixing it all up. Everything becomes convoluted. People get confused. So all those things that happened in 2020 and 2021, as horrible as they were for everybody, and they were for me at the time too, but there was that catalyst that made me say, I have to know the truth. I want to know the truth. And that's what drove me to that. And that's what finally built my relationship with Christ. Because I'm like, I've been praying to Mary for a lot of years, which according to the Gospels is idolatry, And that being said, I'm not going to criticize anybody that's a Catholic. I'm not going to criticize anybody that goes to a 12-step or anything like that. It's like everybody needs to do what they want to do. You can burn sage if you want. You can worship crystals if you want. But like my old coach used to say, when it comes down to nut cutting time, getting neutered, right? Everybody's eyes get big. When it comes down to your last days, who's your maker? It ain't the sage. It ain't the crystals. It ain't the universe. It's Christ. It's God. And it literally tells you the blueprint. And so that was a huge, huge eye opener for me, and has made me so much more convicted in sharing it and standing firm in it. There's times I will talk about it in certain context situations which are probably not recommended. But I will do something like think of people in countries all over the world, whether it's or countries in Africa or the Middle East, where a Christian will get, persecuted is a light word for praising Jesus, right? And to me, I think nobody decapitates somebody for believing in Buddha, right? Or other things that are fake religions. The reason they do it to Christians that believe in Christ is because they know that's the truth and they don't want to hear it. So it's, I just can't tell you how happy I am that fake narrative happened in 2020.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
It's a conversation I've had with a friend recently. I've gone down a Shroud of Turin rabbit hole, and this shroud, not telling anybody what to believe what you want to believe, has survived all of these years, all of these things, and in, I guess it was the 80s, 90s, they had testing done on it, carbon dating testing. And despite people saying, hey, if you test the corners where it's obviously been repaired because it's more than 2,000 years old, you're going to get faulty data. What did they do? They tested the corners. And you come to a conclusion at some point, I have at least. It's funny that you said the word evil. You said the word evil. I think there's definitely in the last few years, and probably long before that, but certainly in the last few years, you can see if you open your eyes to it, there is absolutely a good versus evil that is happening right in front of our faces. And, when you were a kid, at least when I was a kid, you envisioned evil, satanic as this big red devil with a tail and wings and horns and stuff. Well, anybody would know that's evil. Like if that walks in my house, Rizzo the dog's going to lose his mind, right? He's going to. That is not good. That is bad. You don't have to be particularly astute to go, oh no, that's not good.
Right.
But I don't think that's how it works. I don't think that's how it works. I think evil manifests itself in completely different ways. And I'm with you completely. And I'll say it, and it's cost me friends in my field, which is fine. I don't care. I do think there was a lot of good versus evil that was happening in 2020 that continues to sort of work its way through today. And it's why it's very interesting. It's one of the reasons I actually am pretty optimistic about where we're going as a society. If you look at where some of the metrics are turning, like good's kind of winning. And this is not Republican Democrat at all. This is good evil. Good's kind of winning. There's
making a comeback.
For sure. With young people, with faith, with a lot of things.
We taught the good, the RPO, so it's starting to score some points.
Yeah, so but I agree with you completely. I think there was a lot of evil manifesting itself in 2020 that was designed to tear people apart. Absolutely.
Oh,
that was
100%.
That was the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
And you had mentioned, Neal, the stereotype we had as a kid of evil with the tail and the pitchfork and the horns and stuff. And as you get older, that evil comes dressed up as a 5'11" blonde with big hands, right? And becomes very lustful and cunning, and that's like one disguise, let alone all the disguises that pull me in different directions, right? So again, that's taking it back to 2020. It's like, man, I believe the plan is for everybody. There's a plan for everybody. And the Gospels talk about that. And I thank God. The first thing I do when I wake up every day is first words come out of my mouth is thank you, Father, for another day. And, the opportunities to carry the word, carry his message to all nations, right? Carry his message to my neighbor, when the opportunity arises. I don't want to go knock on someone's door and say, hey, do you know about Jesus? Right? It's like, that's probably not going to work. So there's creative ways to approach it. But I don't, I will, and I'm surprised I don't have it now, but I mean, most of the time I'm always got my cross out, even though it's a subtle thing. It right away lets people know. It gives people a predetermined presupposition about what this guy is about. How deep into it is he? We don't know yet. But it keeps a lot of the demons away because they're like, we don't even want to deal with that. It's like they don't care. The demons don't care about 6'5", 270 still. They care about this, and what it represents. And look, the demons believe in Jesus, but they just want to do things that separate people from that relationship with him.
Brother, I can't even begin to thank you for your time. I think it's like I told you before. I think your story is powerful. And it's. I always say this. I don't think I think things happen for a reason, and even if it was to give your platform, be able to tell your story to affect people. I mean, I can see the chat. I think your story will definitely get to ears that will impact. I mean, it impacted me in the short time I've been able to visit with you, and I think it's a great story, and it's not even or a great testimony, but I just think it allows you a platform to really impact people. I think it's awesome.
Mask up, please, Tony.
I can send you these to you guys if you guys want.
I have thousands. I have thousands of them. I carry them everywhere I go.
Neal's got a closet. He's going to put one on right as he goes to the grocery store next. He's going to put one in the truck, driving by himself.
Absolutely. I mean, you just never know. I mean,
right. Always got to be ready.
You got to be ready. I mean.
Hey, you'll like this, Tony. The first year, or maybe it was the second year, we had the competition. We actually had a competition where Neal was traveling across. He went to Alaska and back, and he had to count how many masks he saw. Yeah. That was part.
Oh my gosh!
We had a giveaway. We had a giveaway around it. We had a whole giveaway around it. So yeah, that's how it goes. Well, brother, I appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Later. Thank you again so much. Hey, make sure you guys, if you're on TikTok, make sure you go follow Tony Mandarich. He's in the Neal. Tony's going to blow up. He's on the he's in that 9,000 TikTok range that we were in. We were in 9,000 follower purgatory for about 2 years. So Uncle TikTok, as we like to call him, he kept us in 9,000 purgatory forever.
He didn't want us over there.
He didn't want us over there. Right. Make sure you go follow Tony on TikTok. He is an awesome follow. He goes live. What is it? It's 8
every night 6 p.m. Pacific, so 9 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, 9 Eastern, 8 Central, live on TikTok. Y'all go visit with Tony over there. It's one of the best lives there is on TikTok.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys. Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
That was Tony Mandarich. I mean, that really that made my day. I mean, that made my week, made my month. That was awesome. Tony's such a great guy, very generous with his time, and just a powerful story. So I know that impacted. I always say this: if it impacted one person, and it did me, so that checks the box.
That probably,
that's awesome.
Probably classifies as we passed out some life advice, perhaps.
Yes, that would be good.
Presented by Cole Walters, State Farm Insurance. Cole licensed in auto, home, life, health, business, and pet insurance for the whole states of Georgia and Alabama. You can contact Cole at 706-525-7850. You can also find him online at colewaltersinsurance.com. Listen, if you're looking for a way out of corporate America, you're looking for your next business venture, you're interested in learning about buying a business or a franchise, my friend Andy Ludicky can help. He'll sit down with you. He'll work with you to help you find a franchise or a business that fits your DNA, your business DNA, your skill sets, your goals. Awesome, great guy. You'll love to sit down and talk to him. That service is 100% free. No brainer for those of you wanting to get into business ownership. So, sit down with Andy, call him. He's a great guy, tons of business experience. He'll lean on you. You'll be able to lean on him throughout the entire process. It's Andy at myperfectfranchise.net or 404-973-9901. Also brought to you by our good friends at Parish Brewing Company, located in the heart of Cajun country, right there in Broussard, Louisiana. Their simple goal is to make awesome craft brewed beer. I would argue that they do quite a good job of that. They've got Dr. Juice. It's a 6% ABV, very crushable juice bomb, go-to IPA. They've also got Ghost in the Machine, another couple of fantastic double IPAs there at Parrish. If you're not into IPAs, it's okay. They've got lagers, pilsners, porters. Wherever you look for beer, look for Ghost. I mean, look for Parrish. I say look for Ghost in the Machine because it's phenomenal. But look for Parrish Brewing Company. You'll be glad you did.
All right. Before we get out, I'm just going to do other ones at the end. Before we get out of here, Neal.
Yes.
We got to talk about week 0. Week 0. There's only there's only 5 lines this weekend.
Okay.
And so this is like a preseason. It's like get your feet wet.
All right.
Okay. I'm
gonna make my picks just on the fly here.
Well, can I tell you something? Most everyone is.
Okay.
I get questions about some of these teams on the live, and there are, I can't remember. It's a significant amount of teams that have over 70 new players on their team. Like, brother, I don't know.
Well, your buddy Rich Rod has 50 guys out of the portal alone on his team.
Yeah, Rich has got to restart. I think he's only got 1 starter back from last year's team, even on the team.
71. If I read this, Ross Dellinger went to West Virginia, did a story. I think the number, I was reading it today when I was walking, so I missed parts of it. But I was kind of skimming through it because some of the
you can read and walk at the same time.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
I know. Well,
that skipped my gene.
Once a Bearcat, always a Bearcat.
That skipped my gene pool. We didn't go over that in Anniston, Alabama.
But if I read the number right, 71 new faces on the roster.
Yeah,
it's he was like, "Are y'all going to be any good?" And I loved Rich's answer, which was,
"He'll tell you,
I don't know."
Yeah,
he goes, "It won't be from a lack of effort. We're going to play hard, but I don't know if we're good or not." And I was like, "Man, if we're being honest." This is what I was thinking. I was literally in my mind when that happened. I laughed out loud because, I've been to West Virginia.
Yeah.
A lot of the stories that were being told, I've kind of gone to those places.
Yeah.
And then I know Rich from covering him and then from the show. And I was like, how many coaches, their honest thoughts right
Truth
now.
serum.
Truth serum. And I don't know that 10 years ago it would be this way. But today, how many coaches, honest to God, like when they lay their heads on the pillow, go, you know what? We've been through camp. I kind of know what we are.
Yeah.
But I don't know what anyone else is. I don't have a real scouting report on anybody. I don't really know. When you have a program, and this is across the board, with 50, 55 new faces, you don't really know what you have.
You may not know for weeks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But you sure don't know right now because you hadn't played a single game. You haven't done it. I mean, there's going to be – I know this is for the week 1 teams. I hate week 0. It's so confusing.
Yeah.
For the week 1 teams, this is dress rehearsal weekend.
Yeah.
And this is like – for a lot of teams, this is coaches telling all their people, hey, look, seriously, do this right because we're doing this for the first time next week.
For real.
And even though we've – like, you know, I mean, Rich has coached how many teams?
Oh,
I mean, as a head coach. I mean, so he's done
4
this
or
a
5.
lot. Yeah. So you how many years of being a head coach? I mean, 20. And so you've done a lot of this. But,
6.
I mean, nobody knows.
Yeah.
Nobody knows going into these first few games. You know a lot more people in coaching than I do, but I know some, and I'm careful about not ever referencing them because I don't want it to. But man, there are coaches that are telling me, "Hey, look, I'm just telling you, there's going to be upsets in September. You're going to be shocked. Like games that are going to happen in September that are going to shock people." And he goes, "Probably shouldn't shock, but it will." He goes, and then those same teams, if they played in November, it would be a completely different outcome.
Yeah, I mean, that's just where we're at. That's just where we're at in college football. It's like North Carolina. Somebody was asking me about North Carolina the other day. I was like, guys, I think Bill Belichick is one of the greatest to ever do it. Okay, he's in college for the first time. Michael Lombardi, who's been on our show, love him. Think he does a great job. They got 70 new players. I know one of them, Gio Lopez. I've seen him play live. I've seen him practice. I think he's really good.
Sure,
but I have no clue about how it's going to mesh together. I mean, it is what it is.
That's why I laugh at some of the people, and it's just hot takes. I get it, but I laugh at some of the people that do these shows where they go W, 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 L, W. I'm like, dude, you don't know. I mean, you can guess, and you can put a framework and like a likelihood kind of thing,
So anyway, we're going into one of them. Game number 1 of the season. The Iowa State Cyclones, Neal. The Iowa State Cyclones are going to Dublin for little tea and crumpets. That would be England, but we're going to pretend it happens in Dublin too. Little fish and chips. Go hang out with Conor McGregor. Do a little MMA training.
Pour a Guinness.
Pour a Guinness.
Yeah.
Hang out with the homies. A little proper 12 for them for a little celebratory whiskey. Taking on Kansas State, 11 a.m. Central, 12 Eastern on Saturday. Kansas State is favored by 3 points. The total is 51.5. Neal, I'm just doing this. I think Iowa State is the real deal. I like Iowa State. I like Rocco Beck. Now, Kansas State's got Avery Johnson. He's coming back. He is a phenomenal. He runs that offense very well. He does have to improve it as a passer. We'll see there. I think Rocco Beck is one of the biggest kept secrets in college football. This guy can play the position. I'm taking the Iowa State Cyclones outright. If this was a money line normal week, this would be a money line candidate. I think they're going to win the game outright. They're getting 3, so I would either take Iowa State +3 or the money line. I don't care. I think Iowa State wins this game in Double Iowa. Give me my Cyclones.
Yeah, I think I would go the same way. As much as a lot of people are talking about Kansas State, I think Iowa State. I just go with stability there.
Again, this is how I think about early until I see them play. My opinion will probably change completely after Saturday afternoon. But Kansas State has always been a development program. They've always recruited guys and they've grown them up. Now we've gotten this. We're as deep as we're going to get in this portal era of development with players. Like that's at some point in time, that's got to really start taking. And it has last year. You saw a little fall off last year. I think we continue to see that in Manhattan. All right, game number 2. I know you're fired up about this. Idaho State traveling to Vegas. The Dan Mullen era begins in Las Vegas.
How about that?
UNLV is favored by 26.5 with a 65.5 point total. I'm going to tell you right now, like, this makes me love just looking at the total and with the spread. I love UNLV -26.5 from a numbers analytical standpoint. You give me 65.5 with a team favored by just 26.5. Give me the freaking running Rebs. I know you're. I mean, tell me.
I would go the same way.
This is where
I don't know.
This is where you break down the Idaho State roster.
Yeah, I've read a lot of the Idaho Statesmen over the last couple of years, because I've read a lot about the murders, but I have not read about the
not that right.
I've not read about the.
You didn't go to the sports section.
I have not very often gone to the sports section.
I do think Dan is going to be an offensive guy at a new stop. I have a feeling he is going to try to. He's got Orgy, that's literally the guy's name. No Diddy. Orgy, the transfer from Michigan quarterback, is now going to be his starting quarterback. I think he's going to try to make a splash in his comeback offensively. I think they score a ton of points.
Okay.
That's where I'm going with that one. All right, Fresno State at Kansas.
Kansas with the new stadium. Did you see it?
I have seen pictures. Yes.
They did a video. It's really cool.
I've not seen that.
Did a video with the drone.
Yes.
Flies around and goes through everything. It's really really cool.
They
did a fantastic job.
People are getting very talented at flying those drones.
Yeah.
They're pretty good at it.
They did a phenomenal job with the stadium. Stadium looks really cool.
So they're
built a new like meeting center and the whole.
It's a deal.
The whole
now.
deal. It's really their team room kind of overlooks the stadium. That's badass.
This is the Cisco lock of the week.
Okay.
Give Fresno State at Kansas. Kansas favored by 13.
Yeah.
Guess what, Neal?
What?
For the first time in the 2025 season, it's not enough. Give me the Kansas Jayhawks coming off a very disappointing season. Lance Leopold is not going to like that. He will have his guys ready, quarterback ready, new stadium, lots of points, good defense. I think they blow the doors. Too much momentum. They blow the doors off Fresno State. Love Kansas -13.
Okay.
All right. Sam Houston State, the fighting Phil Longo, making his debut as a head coach.
Yep.
I left it open there for you.
I know you did. I'm just trying to be nice.
Phil's my guy, though. I love Phil.
Yeah.
Love Phil. He actually is really fucking good dude. Traveling to Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky favored by 10 with a total of 60.5. I'm taking the fighting Phil Longos +10 at Western Kentucky. Not going to be a lot of defense in this game. A lot of points scored. This is all kidding aside as a football junkie. I understand you won't watch a snap of this game.
No.
Me personally, this may be one of the games I'm locked into the most, just from see what happens, see what had happened. So Sam Houston State was a team that, like, in the Conference USA has lived on defense, one of the best scoring defenses. They were like top 20 in the league. I mean, in the whole country in scoring defense. Now with Phil going there, straight offense, do they have any semblance of that defense today? Because Phil's going freaking try to score points. I'm interested to see how that works out. Western Kentucky will score points. Got to see them.
Yeah, I would have taken Western Kentucky in the points here.
Okay, we'll put you down for that. But I like the Fighting Phil Longos covering the 10 in a high scoring game. But that's they can get garbage time and cover that. All right, in the game that's the Vegas has got me all confused on this. I see Grind's literally going against every. I saw in the chat he's going against everything I'm saying today. But the last game, Stanford at Hawaii. Hawaii. This tells you a lot right here.
Yep.
Hawaii is favored by 2.5 points against a Big Ten, or excuse me, an ACC team at home, with a total being 50.5. I'm just out of principle with no other reason. Just out of principle, I'm taking Stanford plus 2.5. You can't be like, I just out of principle.
I read a story in The Athletic this week on Andrew Luck, who's basically their director of player personnel at this point now. Great story, incredibly well written. They're determined to rebuild step by step. One of the places where you probably can do it. You can still get guys to come to Stanford for the education.
You would think.
So I don't know anything about the game. I probably would. Hawaii hasn't beaten a Power 4 team in like 6 years.
It's been a minute.
So I'd probably, if you're giving me points with Stanford, I'll probably just take the points.
And then just so from a true betting perspective, like how I do it is if I like Stanford right here, they're only getting 2.5 at the line. If I like I like the underdog to cover, and the line is under 3, I just go money line and take the value. Is what I usually do. So that's how I went.
Austin, thank you for the super chat. He says, salute to Coach Corso, referring to Lee Corso last game day on Saturday. I agree that it's probably 5 years too late, but you cannot deny the man's impact on college football. Salute to a legend.
Yeah, I didn't know it was going to be Saturday. I thought maybe the first game back on the States, but regardless, it's a end of a legend. Neal, but you know what else it is? It's summertime, and it's hot. But the deals at Kia of Meridian are even hotter. They now have 0% APR on all Kias that are built right here in the U.S. of A. That's hashtag America. Do you need a low payment and great warranty? The Kia K4 has payments as low as $379 a month. With school sports fast approaching, there's no better way than to get there in a brand new Kia Carnival. They have over 70 brand new vehicles in stock. So give the good friends at Kia of Meridian a call. Give Trav a call at 601-483-6444. And when you do, Neal, do not forget, say, hey, Trav, I got something for you. Pull it out and spin the wheel and win awesome prizes like a PS5, an Xbox, a TV, and more. So check them out at Kia of Meridian. We're also brought to you by Thompson's Family Paint and Body Shop. They're in Saraland, Alabama, right in the heart of Saraland. They're not some corporate chain pretending to care about you. They're located right there at 703 Saraland Boulevard, just a few miles off I-65 and exit 13. Thompsons have served customers all over the Gulf Coast, from Biloxi to Pensacola or Gulf Shores to Demopolis. If you call there, you're not getting some operator. You're getting Don. You're getting Don Jr. or Matthew Thompson. That's right. Real people, real family, and with real pride in their work. They've been in business. It's a family-owned business that's been around for over 35 years, and they care because they come from the same community that you do. Don't forget to ask about, hey, I need the special McCready and Siskey deductible assistant discount. That's right. Go mention McCready and Siskey. They're going to give you a special deductible discount there at Thompson's Paint and Body. You can check them out on Facebook at Thompson's Body Shop. It doesn't matter where you're located, or give them a call at area code 251-675-0884. How about that? That's all I got, boss.
We will be back on Monday. We'll recap week 0 and turn our attention spend more time turning our attention to
a little bit of review, a whole lot of preview.
Week number 1 coming up. Hope everyone has a great weekend, safe weekend out there. Looks like cooler weather's heading our way, at least for a little while next week, which sounds great right now.
We'll see.
Anyway, have a great weekend. Thanks again to Tony Mandarich for his time. Thanks to everyone in the stream for being part of us. See you soon.